Welcome back, everyone. Today we're joined once again by FMP and founder of Worth the Wait, Sarah Stewart. Today we're going to talk about childhood nutrition and her brand new cookbook. Sarah, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
You put together a little video for us as well.
I sure did, yeah.
Let's take a look at that.
Our goal is simple: to raise happy, healthy, resilient, thriving children. And yet raising healthy children today feels unexpectedly complicated. Today, we're surrounded by convenience and foods that were never designed to nourish growing bodies. In fact, 62% of our children's diet now comes from ultra-processed foods. We are the first generation to watch our children suffer from diseases like type 2 diabetes, hypertension, obesity, fatty liver disease, and metabolic dysfunction. Not because parents suddenly stopped caring, but because the environment changed so quickly. And here's the good news. This doesn't require perfection. It starts with a few simple foundational shifts. I like to bring it back to one simple question. What does a balanced plate look like? A source of protein for growth and development, fruits and vegetables for nutrients and fiber, healthy fats for brain development and satiety, and carbohydrates in their most natural form. And just as important, meal structure matters. Kids do best with 3 predictable meals and 1 snack instead of constant snacking and grazing all day. Because when we're eating all day long, insulin stays elevated and kids will often experience blood sugar spikes and crashes. And finally, learning to read labels. Look for added sugars, refined seed oils, and long ingredient lists with things that you can't even pronounce. And a simple rule of thumb: the closer food is to its natural state, the more it's going to do for your child's health. Because every bite sends a biological signal: grow or store, burn or build, calm, dysregulation, inflammation or repair. So when we talk about childhood nutrition, we're not talking about diets. We're talking about metabolic programming. Nutrition is one of the most powerful tools we have to shape lifelong health. And remember, this isn't about doing everything perfectly. This is about small, consistent changes that help your child grow into happy, healthy, resilient, and thriving children. And remember, I'm Sarah Stewart, family nurse practitioner, reminding you to nourish your body, feed your future, and check your labels.
All right, Sarah, thanks so much for coming in and joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
What would you say are maybe some of the key takeaways from that video that you made?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, our grandparents and our great-grandparents, they went to the grocery store, they bought food, they brought it home, they cooked for their family, and they didn't really think twice about it. But unfortunately, we have to play a little bit of defense, not only for ourselves, but for our most vulnerable population, which is our children. They're in this peak period of growth and development. And, if we think that food companies are not going to try to market and hook our children, we're kind of sadly mistaken.
That's exactly what they're trying to do.
They are at a very young age, and who's more susceptible than a 2-year-old, and everything has added sugars in it.
Right.
And it's not just you look at a box and it's less than a gram of sugar, but how many times is a child eating, that snack food, how many days a week? And it seems benign, but for a 15-pound toddler or 20-pound toddler, that 1 gram is a lot, right?
For sure.
Especially if you have a bunch of sweet drinks or anything like that.
Oh gosh, yeah, the juice and the sodas, that would be a big one to eliminate. So we have this beautiful opportunity now to bring families back into the kitchen, teach the children how to cook. It's a life skill. We really need to teach our children to feed themselves nutritious foods, and also gather around the table and share a meal and talk about our day. If we lose this, we can't lose this part of our day. And I look at cooking too as kind of a creative outlet. And a way to show love, to nourish my family and to nourish myself.
Exactly.
What's more important than our health? We don't have our health,
Well, it's good for your mind and your body. I mean, just getting together with your loved ones and sharing a meal. We've kind of gotten away from that in some cases because we're all living busy lives. And, but it's so important.
It is very important.
I love this quote. It was by Michael Pollan. He's a food author, and he said, we make time for the things that we value.
Yes.
And I think, what's more valuable than our long-term health and our family's health and our children's health.
Absolutely. And you do have a copy of your brand new cookbook, Nourish to Flourish. If we could maybe try to get a shot of that. This probably took you a while to put together. How has the process been?
Well, yeah, so I started out making a cookbook for adults based on time-restricted eating. If you've been watching my segment, we really leaned into the 2 meals a day within an 8-hour period for weight loss and reversing metabolic conditions. So if you do get this cookbook, you'll see breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack section because children really thrive on a different eating rhythm. They're in a growth period.
Yeah.
So what I did was I pulled some of the recipes from the adult cookbook and then started to build in more of the sections. So it's been really great. And I tried to make it more than just a cookbook. So there's
a lot in there.
Yeah, there's like a healthful tips box, which, we'll talk about some ingredients or why to buy organic. There's also a kids in the kitchen box, so you can bring your children in to, teach them how to cook. And then there's also a how-to section that can kind of go over like how to feed a picky child and how to stock the fridge and the freezer and the pantry and how to build a balanced plate.
Absolutely.
Where can you get it? If somebody wants this cookbook, where do they go?
Well, so I'm happy to share that To Learn Rise is going to be selling a few copies. Also, the Stewart Learning Center in Lincoln.
Nice.
And they can just go to my website, worththewait.me, and there's a direct link, and I can ship it.
That's awesome. And before we go, is this an example of
That's
a recipe in the book?
This is what I've been waiting for right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So everything is naturally sweetened. There's no added sugars. And honestly, like kids do not need added sugar.
Yeah.
And you don't miss it. Yeah. So this one's called the perfect cookie because when I ate it, I'm like, this is the perfect cookie.
Yeah.
So that's what it's called.
You do get used to having less sugar and things.
You do,
but
yeah.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
We're not meant to have that much sugar.
No, definitely.
All righty, Sarah.
Well, coffee.
Thank you so much for coming in and sharing this. We'll have this posted on our website for anyone that would like to go get Sarah's cookbook. We'll turn things over to meteorologist Jeff Weller.